Vice is presented as fun. Nothing is left to the imagination. An invitation even is extended to come join the fun.
Do you ever feel you don't get out what you're putting in? All your hopes and efforts are all in vain. Who will pick you up when you've lost everything? Does it all become for granted with a wedding ring? Oh, there must be more. There must be another way. There must be conscience. Different things in different ways. There must be love. There must be a reason. And a little bit of faith has got to come my way. I was just a little girl when my mama used to say, ooh, happiness requires work every day.
The purpose of this motion picture is to give you the facts, and then you, as individuals and citizens of a democracy, must take action.
Just you and me. 'Cause tonight we'll celebrate for you.
Hello there. I'm George Putnam. I'd like to begin with a fact. A simple yet shocking fact. It is this. A flood tide of filth is engulfing our country in the form of newsstand obscenity and is threatening to pervert an entire generation of our American children. We know that once a person is perverted, it is practically impossible for that person to adjust to normal attitudes in regard to sex.
Despite the world's highest living standards, the average American remained vaguely discontent, aware that his goal of a better way of life had still not been fully realized. There was something missing.
John,
Yes, Mary.
John, what's happening to us?
I think we both know, Mary.
It's just that we seem to be drifting apart.
I'm sorry, Mary. I've tried.
Oh, I don't blame you, John. It's just that...
It's not your fault either, of course.
It's just that we don't have...
Exactly. There's this awful gap in our lives just because we don't have... Oh, but why talk about it?
It's just that... Oh, I keep hoping someone can find a way to...
Don't be a fool, Mary. You know that's impossible.
Oh, I know. It's just that...
Gad, it's ironic. With all our technology and industrial know-how, we still don't have the one thing.
The vagina. The vagina has a moist lining called the mucous membrane. Its walls lie in folds which can be easily stretched. The common belief that intercourse or masturbation are necessary to relieve the pressure of stored-up sperm is absolutely not true.
He is enticed to enter the world of homosexuals, lesbians, sadists, masochists, and other sex deviants.
Jimmy knew he shouldn't be interested, but, well, he was curious. What Jimmy didn't know was that Ralph was sick, a sickness that was not visible like smallpox, but no less dangerous and contagious, a sickness of the mind. You see, Ralph was a homosexual, a person who demands an intimate relationship with members of their own sex. But by now, Jimmy felt a fondness for Ralph, and they continued to go places together. Ralph was generous and took Jimmy many interesting places and did many nice things for him.
This moral decay weakens our resistance to the onslaught of the communist masters of deceit.
It's terrific. It's tremendous. Once you swallow the contents of this bottle, you'll have the bountiful benefit of higher wages, shorter hours, and security. Enormous profits, no strikes. Remember, you're the big boss. Government control, no worry about votes. Name your own salary. Bigger crops, lower costs. Why, ISM even makes the weather perfect every day. And now then, because we are introducing this amazing item for the first time in this country, it isn't going to cost you 1 cent. All you have to do is sign this little scrap of paper, and you get your bottle absolutely free.
I hereby turn over to ISM Incorporated everything I have, including my freedom and the freedom of my children and my children's children, in return for which said ISM promises to take care of me forever.
And thus, the grotesque costuming and the significance of the extreme spiked heel and the tight boot, the riding crop.
Hey, you know something?
No, what?
I had a wet dream last night.
Wet dreams? What's that?
Oh, you know, some sperm comes out of your penis.
Sperm?
Yeah, sort of a sticky stuff. Guy's part of a baby. Didn't your brother ever tell you about that?
No. He never says much about anything. So that means you can start a baby.
After these displays, you probably think that there couldn't be anything worse. But perhaps the most insidious single group of publications is the cheap pocketbook. In page after page of these so-called novels, sex organs, positions of intercourse, abnormal sex practices of every kind are described with intimate physical detail.
Mary, wait, please, Mary. I'm sorry, Mary.
Mary, is that you, dear?
Yes, Mother.
Did you have a nice time, dear?
Very nice, thanks.
Well, you don't look much like a girl who's been out having a wonderful evening.
Oh, Mom.
Now, here. What's the matter, dear?
Do you remember when you told me that I might have such strong feelings about a boy that it might be hard for me to decide what's right to do?
Yes, I remember. Why?
It was something like that tonight with Jeff. You know, I like him an awful lot, and we have such fun at dances. Tonight, the feeling between us kept getting stronger and stronger. On our way home, we stopped and parked.
A missile named Mac. That's me. The telephone company has asked me to tell you what the people at Bell Telephone Laboratories and the Western Electric Company are doing for our government to guide ballistic missiles like me. You know, we travel at speeds of over 15,000 miles an hour toward targets thousands of miles away. Of course, hitting the target has always been a problem for us missiles. Take my well, let's just call him my oldest ancestor, Rocky. Like all missiles, Rocky had to be aimed and controlled before being fired.
A major factor that makes youngsters prime targets for this printed filth is the natural curiosity of youth about the mysterious force of sex.
Men, nothing takes it off like Noxema medicated shave. Take it off. Take it all off. Medicated shave.
The closer you shave, the more you need Noxema. Noxema medicated comfort shave.
What these publications promote as fun has helped to increase the spread of venereal disease in this country. Reported syphilis has increased more than 300% in the last 5 years. The incidence of gonorrhea has been steadily rising.
You can see for yourself. Every time there's a war, the venereal disease rate takes a jump. It's bad enough in peacetime, but now it's like a forest fire. No organization of saboteurs could do half this damage to our army. We average 30 venereal disease cases each year out of every 1,000 men in uniform. That means 300,000 men put out of action each year in a 10 million men army. And every one of those men is a casualty, as far as combat is concerned. Think of that, 300,000 casualties without even a battle. Well, I'm sorry to have to run out on you, Colonel, but I'm swamped with work. Thank you, Major. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Do you want your son enticed into the world of homosexuals? Or your daughter lured into lesbianism? Do you want either of them to discover how to get sexual gratification by inflicting pain on themselves or by torturing other people? Do you want them to lose all chance of a normal, happy, married life?
Well, we're the ones that are getting married, not your folks.
I don't know, Larry. I read somewhere that a marriage without parents' approval has 2 strikes on it from the start. But if eloping's the only way...
No, maybe it isn't. Maybe you could convince your folks that you should get married.
But how, Larry? How?
The baby is developing in the uterus of the mother. The time during which this development occurs lasts 9 months and is called pregnancy. After this, the baby is born.
Los Angeles County's annual Ladera Park Baby Show gets rolling as 1,000 tiny tots show up in carriages, prams, buggies, and push carts, daintily decorated. Come on, look alive. Little Indian is wide awake, although slightly bored. There are all kinds of prizes with double awards for twins. 2 can have twice as many chances to win. Sleepyhead misses the crowning of the king and queen. In Antioch, California, the youngest competitors in any event in any county fair compete in the big diaper derby for little folk. Shh. They're going to blow the whistle, and then the idea is to crawl to the outside of the circle. Frantic parents urge him on, and finally, at last, there is a winner. He's Danny Watson, 11 months old and red-headed. Boy, is mother proud, and boy, is Danny boy ever tired. So a little nipper takes a nip of milk.
Yes, sir, wedding bells finally rang in the life of Margie Blake. Back from their honeymoon, she and Tim are headed for a life of wedded bliss, they think. As she enters her bright new kitchen to cook her first meal, can she prepare those favorite dishes of Tim's, just like his mother used to make? You'll find that your cookbook contains many terms which pertain to cooking alone. It is necessary for you to know what these terms mean before you can interpret recipes properly. For example, you must stir the ingredients in your chocolate cake. To stir is to mix food materials with a circular motion to secure a uniform consistency. To boil is to cook at such a temperature that bubbles rise continuously and break on the surface.
Start with your own home. Check your own reading and the reading matter coming into your home for your entire family. Remember, children can be contaminated.
I'll get it. That's probably Peggy. Sure, just a minute, I'll ask. Mom, can I go swimming with Peggy tomorrow after school?
I don't think I would, Molly.
But I'd be home by 5:30.
No, it's not a good idea the first 2 or 3 days of your period. You might get chilled and catch cold.
Oh, that's right. Peggy, of course I can't go swimming. You know I've got the curse. That's right. It isn't a good idea the first couple of days. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Another important problem common to these publications is the dwelling upon teenage participation in wild, flagrant abuses of the God-given gift of sex.
Go, go, go. Take a National Airlines Miami Go-Go vacation. It's Miami at a go-go price. Low jet excursion fares, palatial oceanfront hotel, now at reduced rates. Have yourself a go-go vacation at America's Riviera. It's National Airlines Miami Go-Go. At a go-go price everyone can afford. Are we putting you on? Jet with National coast to coast to coast.
This is amply depicted by the pose of this obviously young girl, her clothes in the disarray of sexual activity, with the stimulus of alcohol indicated by the tumbler placed on her thigh. And again, the breast fetish. Note the sensual expression alluded to by Dr. Sorokin, the renowned Harvard sociologist, as being the hallmark of so much of contemporary photography. And then we come to nudist magazines. If they were printed only for the nudist cult, they would never exist. Their circulation would not support the cost of printing. These total exposures are not of nudists in some instances, but rather of paid professional models. Group exposure is a hallmark of these cultists. However, it's been well stated that very few blind people join the nudist colony.
No, but tell me one thing. What's so wrong with drinking? What have you got against it?
Well, in the first place, everybody knows it doesn't do you any good. It can ruin your health.
Is that what you believe? Do you believe that old scare stuff? Pooey.
Well, maybe you're both right. A lot of people drink occasionally, but I guess it could really fix you if you concentrate on it.
Sure, just like a lot of things. Pickles. You can't say pickles by themselves are bad for you, but if you eat too many, you get sick.
Nothing upsets a pickle lover more than a dull, soggy pickle. Pickle lovers always insist on the proud pickle. Heinz. No compromise, no shortcuts, no soggy pickle. Heinz stops at nothing to give you a pickle that tastes the way no other pickle does. Crisp, full-bodied, savory. That's what makes Heinz the proud pickle. If you were the best tasting pickle, wouldn't you be proud?
These magazines with a homosexual viewpoint and poses are often not understood by many youngsters who take them as instruction of body development. But psychiatrists believe that prolonged exposure of even the normal male adult to this type of publication, though he may not be aware of its true nature, will nevertheless pervert. Think then of the consequences to the inexperienced youth who, in purchasing and studying this material, becomes a pawn for these misfits, these homosexuals who have a slogan that betrays the evil of the breed. Today's conquest, they say, is tomorrow's competition. See the tender age at which homosexuals prefer their conquests. Look here at the young face and bright smile which could be the hope of the world. But in the other half of the picture is revealed the seduction of the innocent. Look at this poor young lad, but when looking, think of the others who might follow his perfidious footsteps when photos like these are available at the corner news rack. And so it goes, countless poses, still pictures, slides, movies. The degradation of these people is so complete, as shown here, that their sex satisfaction and climax come only in being tortured themselves, of inflicting torture on others. Even the blasphemy of the human body is depicted in this devilish...
Smooth all the way. Newport's fresh menthol keeps it that way. Smoother and fresher, day after day. The smoothest tasting menthol cigarette.
What's going on?
Nothing, dear.
Newport tastes smoother, day after day. The smoothest tasting menthol cigarette.
The burning cigarette, rubber and leather garments, and all the rest. And here again, an appeal to the sodomist, with a play upon the buttocks, the laced leather garment. This picture hints at the common idea of bestiality. Dr. Sorokin, the renowned sociologist at Harvard, says that today the newsstands, quote, depict the world as a sort of human zoo inhabited by raped, mutilated, and murdered females, and by he-males outmatching in bestiality cavemen and outlusting the lustiest of animals. Male and female alike are hardened in cynical contempt of human life.
You need is to put down that notebook and take in some of the beauties of nature. See what I mean? But wait a minute, young lady. How did you get into this picture? You see, we're trying to prove a point about nature and beauty, and you're not exactly helping, you know. Look at your hair. Look at that blouse. And the way that skirt hangs.
Never in the history of the world have the merchants of obscenity, the teachers of unnatural sex acts, had available to them the modern facilities for disseminating this filth.
The place, a hilltop in New Jersey. The setting, giant antennas like monstrous eyes and ears, straining, watching, waiting. Inside, ready to probe, waiting for the climax of a dramatic experiment, men like Dick here, where scientists of the Jet Propulsion Lab are waiting.
Perversion, lesbianism, gratification, homosexuals, obscenity, unnatural, disseminating, sadists, masochists, deviants, fetish, publications, curiosity of sex. I have not shown you these pictures and quoted from this material merely to shock you or make this presentation sensational. It is only to show what is openly available on your newsstands. Yet much of this material has been described as an illustrated, detailed course to come join the fun. Smart, it's thrilling, it provides kicks to be a homosexual, a sadist. Through this material, today's youth can be stimulated to sexual activity. A prime example of one major category are the so-called girly magazines, which sell over 15 million copies a month. These highly colorful magazines picture stark nudity on slick paper. They often present their subject on bed or couch, in positions indicative of intercourse or other sex acts, obviously calculated to stimulate the reader. The nakedness, the nudity of these magazines, such as this appeal to the sodomist. Such as these shots, which are typical of the preoccupation with the female breast, to a point that it has become a fetish. And this one, with its overtones of bestiality. And with lesbian implications, these magazines not only display complete nudity. Would you display this material on your living room table? Would you read stories from these publications to your family or friends? Would you undertake to sell this material from door to door, bought by anyone in drugstores, groceries, delicatessens, terminals, malt shops, cigar stores, newsstands, all over the community? Volume. This traffic continues to increase and flourish for one reason. It is big business. Profitable business for its more than 800 distributors. But through this material, perversion for profit. This is a nation of laws. And you and I have a constitutional guarantee to police protection. The law is our weapon. Come join the fun. Our Constitution was written by men who put their trust in God and founded a government. These laws are on our side. We must save our nation. Oh, God, deliver us, Americans, from evil. This film required editing to make it suitable to be shown.
Never thought myself this sentimental, that my tears had all run dry. So you must understand it's confidential if I give this talking thing a try. I've been waiting so long for someone. I've been standing around like a fool. I've been living life like it's a rerun. I've been waiting so long for you. We're a fairy tale vision, a mirage that misconstrued. Me, a man with a mission to somehow make it all come true. I've been waiting so long for someone. I've been standing around like a fool. I've been living life like it's a rerun. I've been waiting so long for you. Like a sinking stone, cut into the bone. All it ever does is drag you down. Practice letting go. Good reason tells you so. Let's be alive while we're I've been waiting so long for someone. I've been standing around like a fool. I've been living life like it's a rerun. I've been waiting so long for you. I've been waiting so long for you. I've been waiting so long for you.
This is Prelinger Archives. You've never seen most of the films in this room. These are movies made by corporations, educators, advertisers, organizations, and ordinary people. These aren't Hollywood movies. Although some of them were made in Hollywood.
I wish my living room were all redone. New drapes, new rugs, oh, this is fun. It's nice to have a telephone to blend with my new drapes and rugs. A living room that's all our own.
They made films to instruct, to sell, to convince, to brag, and sometimes simply to record fleeting sights and sounds. These are ephemeral films, films made not for the ages, but for specific purposes at specific times.
I've got to have a home.
Hundreds of thousands were produced in the 20th century.
You're about to enter a beautiful, exciting, wonderful new world. The world of 1960. For the first time in history, you'll see not one, not two, but three completely new kinds of Ford cars for 1960.
They tell us more about ourselves and our histories than most feature films or TV programs ever could.
Me next.
To bring us still closer together, there was the tattoo of the saber-toothed tiger. It made us blood brothers, gave us a name. The angry world made us special in one way. Our tattoo made us special in another. Gave us a new identity, a feeling of belonging somewhere.
So down they come, some of the world's oldest, biggest, and tallest trees.
Quite often they've survived only by lucky accident. Most of their producers went out of business. Schools switched from film to videotape. And almost nobody saved the films. Perhaps half survived. Prelinger Archives started collecting industrial and educational films back in 1982. In those days, very few people took the film seriously. They seemed to be victims of their own hokiness.
Hello, Wally. Come on in.
Hello yourself. Gee, look at you, all ready and right on time, too. That's a good deal.
Thanks. Mother, are you busy? I'd like you to meet my father. Dad, this is Wally Johnson.
Well, hello, Wally. How do you do, Mr. Ames?
Here I am, darling. And I suppose this is Wally.
That's right, Mrs. Ames. How do you do?
Well, it's nice meeting you.
But slowly, attitudes began to change. People started to realize ephemeral films were some of the most vivid historical and cultural documents around. Now they come to Prelinger Archives to look, to learn, and to license material for new projects. Since we started, we've collected over 48,000 films. In many cases, we hold the original negatives or master materials. Many thousands of our films don't exist anywhere else. The archives covers most of the 20th century. Educational films focus on almost every aspect of life, science, culture, and the arts.
Well, I think that love, a real mature love, is more than I'd imagined.
I guess so. On Bob and Jean, it looks all right, but...
We're not ready for that kind of attachment, are we? But we can still have a lot of fun, can't we?
Sure we can. Would you like... How about going roller skating next Friday night?
Industrial and advertising films show people making things, selling them, in using them.
America, industrial miracle of the century. From all the states flow bounteously the products of forest, mine, and field. From her workshops pour all the needs of modern living. By air, land, and water, these treasures of enterprise are sent out to every point of the compass. No job is too big for American industry.
Amateur films, or home movies, show people living and working together, and also the look of the land in times past. But this collection is more than just a library of images showing the way we were. More eloquently than almost any other evidence, these films show how we were supposed to be. They show us the role models of the past. Here are studious school children.
My, you certainly know all about dishwashers.
Oh, not all. But to tell the truth, Mrs. Adams, anything of a mechanical or electrical nature interests me. Fits in with a hobby of mine.
Dishwashers?
Not exactly. Time study.
Productive workers.
Oh, yes, Mr. Borden. I'm sure that Mr. Thompson will be glad to see you.
Free-spending consumers.
It's a happy-go-spending world, reflected in the windows of the suburban shopping centers where they go to buy.
Well-behaved teenagers.
These boys greet their dad as though they are genuinely glad to see him, as though they had really missed being away from him during the day and are anxious to talk to him.
And smiling housewives.
There is something else we want too. An opportunity to choose the attraction that serves the purpose for which we want it. Our wants and tastes differ. We are not all alike in what we like. Some of us have one like.
These films are key to understanding a century in which media and persuasion are deeply intertwined.
It is also possible for newspapers and other forms of communication to be controlled by private interests. I thought I told you to kill that story. It'll cost us a lot of advertising.
If that story goes out, I quit.
All right.
It's been said that preservation without access is pointless. We believe in access, whether it's commercial or non-commercial. Tens of thousands of people have used our collection for teaching and learning, for productions, and even as evidence.
The ballot is right at the voter's eye level, easily read. And all offices and all candidates are at the same eye level. No candidate suffers by being placed in an unfavorable position.
Access helps to support us, too. Commercial license fees support our collecting, cataloging, and copying. But scholars, artists, students, and unfunded independents get in free. Recently, in association with the Internet Archive, we put 1,001 titles online. Anyone can download these high-quality digital video files without paying. Thousands already have. We think this is one way to make key films available to the greatest possible number of people.
2, 3, 6, 8. Are you sure it isn't too early out there?
Oh, no, it's 11 o'clock here. That means it's 8 o'clock out there.
Hello? Sally? Sally, this is Mother.
Simple, wasn't it? She just picked up her telephone and dialed her daughter in San Francisco, California.
We plan to continue collecting films and making them available to anyone who needs to see and use them. We believe that knowing where we've been is essential if we're to understand where we're heading.